start with you, Mr. Chelameshwar, because it's the Supreme Court that finds itself almost every day making the headlines, sometimes for the wrong reasons. And the sense one gets is even 13 months after the so-called revolt that you and 3 other judges led, the Supreme Court is today in some kind of a confrontation with the executive. That from time to time over the appointment of judges, transfer of judges, case observations, case verdicts, the executive or indeed the opposition seems to be in a head-to-head confrontation with the judiciary. Do you see that as perhaps an accurate description of what's happening?
Mr. Rajdeep, as you pointed out, I wonder always at this expression, revolt. So every day in the parliament for the last 70 years, whenever the parliament is in session, somebody raises questions about some activity of the government. So every time do you describe it as a revolt? I suppose in a democracy, questioning is not revolt, I guess.
So 4 sitting judges holding a press conference questioning the Chief Justice has never happened in the 70 years of this country.
Something unprecedented. See, there is an old joke. Remember those Conan Doyle's works? There is a character called Watson. The joke is that he is so precedent-oriented that he married a widow because she has the precedence of marriage. So we are only talking about precedent. Something that never happened doesn't mean it shouldn't happen at all. Unless you say, yes, for this reason it should not have happened, is it come out with that reason. Then I'll accept it's a revolt. Anyway, it's all right, leave it there.
Did it not reflect, though, a certain institutional
I myself
concern?
said it on the press conference. It's the most unusual thing that's happening today. We never shied away from that fact. We knew it. Anyway, that's all right. Now, as to what's happening subsequently, Mr. Desai, I'll tell you, nothing happens overnight. Now, it's not my opinion as to what it is today, but it's the opinion of this country which is more important. How the country perceives it. When we four went and told the country that, look here, in our opinion, things are not proceeding in the right direction, and we failed with all our efforts to set right the things. Therefore, we are placing it before the nation. There ends my job. At least I had an official responsibility that day. Today, I'm a retired man. I'm an Aam Aadmi living in a village. So my views are as good as anybody else's views in this country. Now, how do you people, how the nation looks at what is happening today is more important. Why don't you ascertain that?
Perception is one thing. What is the reality? I'm asking you, sir, do you believe the reality, as someone who's been inside the system, in the highest judiciary, is that the judiciary increasingly finds itself either in a confrontation with the executive and thereby losing its sense of independence?
I don't see any great confrontation that's going on. I don't see any great confrontation.
Is it getting co-opted? Let me put it the other way. Is the judiciary in danger of getting co-opted by the executive?
That danger always existed in the history of judiciary all over the world, starting from Marbury versus Madison. What was the problem there, you remember? Adams nominated judges in the last minute before demitting the office. Some of the warrants were not delivered. What was the whole process? It's a process of co-opting. That effort is always made everywhere in every democracy.
Are judges being sought to be compromised? Let me be more direct. Are judges being sought to be compromised? And we can go back to Indira Gandhi and the supersession of judges in the 1970s. Do you believe in 2019 the judges are sought to be compromised by the executive at the risk of contempt?
Well, it depends on which judge you are talking about. It varies from person to person. Don't put them in one class. You have all kinds of people. There are people who are fiercely independent. There are people who are not so fiercely independent. There are people who are pliable.
There are people who are?
Pliable.
Bribable.
Pliable, I said.
There are judges who are pliable in your view. Does that erode in a sense the institutional integrity and independence of the judiciary?
Well, you can draw whatever inference you want from that.
Okay, you're being more cautious than you were 13 months ago. Maybe that's what happens when you're an Aam Aadmi and living in the village. rather than being in this chair that you were at the time. Vinod,
Now,
right?
I'll tell you the reason.
Yes.
When I was absolutely forthright, some of the very, very venerable gentlemen of this country saw an agenda behind it. So why should I get into that once again?